Now, members, we'll resume to take leaders' questions under Standing Order 36. We welcome Deputy Mayor Lou McDonald.
Thank you, Ceann Comhairle. Minister, Fine Gael has now been in power for more than 12 years. And in this time, we've seen government make decision after decision that has escalated the housing crisis into a full-blown emergency. Rents are out of control, a whole generation is locked out of home ownership, and homelessness has reached a record level that we could only have imagined. This is the dire situation 7 years after you, as Housing Minister, said that government would end homelessness. And you failed, because even with a significant recovery in public finances, government refused to provide the necessary investment in housing. Instead of building homes, Fine Gael pushed thousands of people into the private rental market. That's what's brought us to where we are today. The problem then and now isn't public finances, but the attitude of government. The government is the problem. The housing insecurity that renters live with every day is highlighted by the colossal increase in numbers now contacting housing charity Threshold. And in lifting the eviction ban without any protections in place, your government has chosen to make the fear of losing your home a reality for thousands of renters. People who work hard, people who pay their rent, people who do everything to build a decent life. They are now being robbed of the roof over their head, not through any fault of their own, but by way of a cruel government decision. Eviction notices are landing every day, and the government has no plan, no safety net, and no intention other than to dig in. Cóhfuil daoine ceaptha dul. Cuireamar an ceist sin an Taoiseach an Tánaiste agus an Ara Tithíochta. Agus níor thug aon duine freagra in creidse. An féidir leat an ceist seo ar agart a Ara. Yesterday, I put 4 stories of those facing eviction to an Taoiseach. We've received countless more, but I want you to hear, Minister, what these people have to say. Eamon writes, my son, his wife and their 3 children are to be evicted in June. They have nowhere to go. My son works very hard, but he can't afford to buy a house. It is shocking what's happening to hard-working people in this country. Margaret says, my daughter has 2 kids. She's received her eviction notice. She has to be out on the day of her baby's 1st birthday. They can't find another place. What are they going to do? Colm tells us, my landlord has already mentioned that her nephew needs the house that we're in. I am waiting in fear of an eviction notice. The street is the only place left. And Rebecca says, we lost the home we rented for 13 years to a no-fault eviction. It was the most frightening, most humiliating experience of our lives. I know exactly how other families are now feeling. And I could go on, Minister, we could be here until tomorrow. That's the reality of what people are going through. Minister, these families, like so many others, have now run out of housing options. Rented accommodation can't be got for love nor money. The emergency accommodation is maxed out in many areas. People wait years for social housing. So where are they meant to go, Minister? We've asked the Taoiseach, we've asked the Tánaiste, we've asked the Minister for Housing, and none of them have given a credible answer. So can you, Minister, answer that question today?
Thank you, Deputy. Minister Coveney, please.
Deputy, thanks for raising housing again, as you do most weeks. And can I say that the government is more than aware of the pressures on many families across the country. We made a decision that extending the ban on evictions would make the problem worse, not better. And I believe that was the right decision to make. And we are putting billions of euros into ensuring that we provide the housing supply that's needed for families that need to find sustainable, secure accommodation, whether that's to purchase affordably or whether it's to rent. Last year, the country built almost 30,000 houses. That was an increase of 45% on the previous year. Last year, we provided social houses for over 10,000 people. That was a significant increase also on the year before, and this year we're going to do better again. So I'm not suggesting that the pace of delivery of social houses, affordable houses, cost rental accommodation is happening at a fast enough pace right now, but it is accelerating all of the time. And that is the answer, Deputy, to the question. We need more supply. And you know, when you raise these questions week after week, I think I'm entitled to raise your credibility and your party's credibility in relation to delivery of all types of housing tenure. If you look at Northern Ireland, you've had the last 2 housing ministers there. Do you know how many social houses were actually built and completed last year in Northern Ireland? Less than 900. In this jurisdiction, Deputy, it was almost 8,000 in terms of new social houses being delivered. When I became housing minister a number of years ago, local authorities in the previous year had built less than 100 new social houses. And now we're seeing 7,500 to 8,000, and we will deliver significantly more than that this year. So this is a complex and difficult challenge. I know that there are many households that are worried and are concerned, and there are far too many people homeless in this country. But we are responding by increasing supply, which is the answer. And you could help, Deputy, by preventing your councillors across the country from actually opposing and frustrating developments. And you could also be a bit more honest in terms of your own party's performance when you've been in government and have housing ministries. In Northern Ireland, do you know that figure of less than 900 last year? That's a decrease on the previous year of 36%. In terms of starts, in terms of build last year, it was just over 1,700. That's a decrease of 29%. So in Northern Ireland, where you have some sway, you are seeing a reduction of about 30% in the delivery of social housing year on year, while we in this jurisdiction are seeing an increase in housing delivery of about 45% year on year. So Deputy, you might take a look at your own performance before you start lecturing this side of the House on housing delivery.
Do as I say, not as I do.
So, of course, the critical distinction between here and the North is that here, public finance isn't the issue. There it is. There the block grant and the Tories are an issue. Ceann Comhairle, I don't have the space to elaborate beyond that. You have been in government now 12 years. You, Minister, have sat at the cabinet table, if I'm correct, for the entirety of that time. When you were housing minister, there were 5,000 souls, God help them, homeless. There's now 12,000. We have record house prices. We have record extortionate rent. We have a government that brags of its largesse and the billions that are coming into the exchequer, and we have an entire generation that cannot put a roof over their heads. That's on you. That is on you. Now, you say that you have everything sorted. I want to know, I told you about Eamon, his son and their 3 children. I've told you about Margaret, her daughter, and their 2 kids. I've told you about Cullum. And these are real people who have nowhere to go. Unless I'm mistaken and you actually have an answer to that. So I put it to you again, for families now that will face eviction, where, Minister Coveney, do they go?
Thank you, Minister Coveney.
Deputy, we have, along with the decisions of the last number of months, made a decision to increase the number of social housing acquisitions by 1,500 this year, an additional 1,000 homes through targeted leasing initiatives this year and next. We've amended the capital advance leasing facility used by approved housing bodies so they can provide more homes faster, and there's a long list after that. But when you talk about a generation that can't put a roof over their heads, Deputy, yesterday you introduced a motion into this House to scrap the first-time buyers grant, which has provided €38,000 young families with the ability to actually get on the housing ladder, because we're a government that actually believes in home ownership, whereas you're a government, you want to be in a government that wants to continue to focus solely on one kind of tenure, which is social housing. We believe in both. We believe in both. We believe that people who want to buy their own homes need a leg up from the state to do that. You don't believe in that. We believe in affordable housing, we believe in cost rental, and we believe also in social housing. And we added over 10,000 to the social housing stock last year, Deputy, unlike your performance in Northern Ireland.
Now, Deputy